continues to give the American administration sleepless nights. Alarm bells are ringing across D.C. and the Pentagon as Tehran rearms itself after suffering heavy blows in the war. Fresh U.S. intelligence assessments suggest Iran is rebuilding parts of its military machine far faster than Washington, including Pentagon, expected, raising fears that the damage inflicted by months of U.S.-Israeli strikes may only have slowed Iran down, not broken it. According to multiple sources familiar with the intelligence reviewed by CNN, Iran quietly restarted portions of its drone production during the 6-week ceasefire that began in April. Some assessments now suggest Iran could restore its full drone strike capability within as little as 6 months. One U.S. official reportedly admitted that Iranian recovery efforts had exceeded all timelines initially projected by the intelligence community. The findings sharply challenge public claims from some U.S. military officials who argue that Iran's defense infrastructure had been devastated for years to come. CENTCOM Commander Admiral Brad Cooper recently told lawmakers that Operation Epic Fury had destroyed roughly 90% of Iran's defense industrial base and crippled its ballistic missile and drone programs. But intelligence officials now believe the setback may amount to months rather than years.
To quote Admiral Cooper, his written statement, "In 38 days, we rolled back 40 years of Iranian military investment," close quote. More than 85% of Iran's ballistic missile, drone, and naval defense industrial base has been damaged or destroyed. The regime's ability to stockpile ballistic missiles and long-range drones has been set back by years. Iran's air force is no more. Over 90% of Iran's traditional navy has been sunk. And Iran is now far less capable of sustaining terrorist proxies like Hezbollah and the Houthis and Hamas.
The concern is not just about factories restarting. Intelligence assessments indicate that Iran still retains significant military capability despite the sustained air campaign. Thousands of drones are believed to remain intact, while a large share of Iran's coastal cruise missile systems, key weapons used to threaten shipping through the Strait of Hormuz, reportedly survived because they were not primary targets during the bombing campaign. Perhaps most troubling for U.S. planners is the growing belief that many Iranian missile launchers also survived the strikes. Earlier intelligence estimates suggested roughly half had made it through the attacks. More recent assessments reportedly place that figure closer to 2/3, partly because the ceasefire gave Iran time to recover or uncover launch systems buried under debris. Outside support is also believed to be helping Iran recover. Two sources familiar with the intelligence assessments told CNN that China continued supplying components that could be used for missile manufacturing during the conflict, though those flows may now be slowing due to the U.S. blockade. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu publicly accused Beijing of assisting Iran's missile industry. But Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Guo Jiakun rejected the accusation, calling it not based on facts. The Pentagon has publicly pushed back against concerns about military readiness. Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell insisted that the U.S. military has everything it needs to operate wherever and whenever President Donald Trump decides. Still, the growing new warning is emerging from Tehran, and it's sending shockwaves across the Middle East. What was already a fragile standoff now feels like it could snap at any moment. An Iranian military source speaking to Russian state media RIA Novosti claims Iran is holding back a secret arsenal, advanced domestically built weapons never before seen in combat. And the warning is blunt. If the United States or Israel strikes again, these systems could be unleashed. This comes as tensions are already surging, with military deployments stacking up and pressure building across the region. Every move now feels heavier, every signal more dangerous. The same source claims Iran has developed next-generation weapon systems, never tested in battle, never publicly revealed, and now sitting on standby. In a region already on edge, this warning raises one unsettling question.
Is the next clash already being prepared in silence? The source further claimed Iran had spent years preparing for precisely this kind of confrontation, quietly expanding its missile, drone, and air defense capabilities while facing sanctions and military pressure from the West. And now, the message coming out of Tehran is unmistakable. Iran says it is ready for another war, and this time, it may fight very differently. The remarks were reportedly made while discussing Iran's readiness for a possible repeat attack by the United States. The source insisted Iran faces no shortages in military equipment or defensive capabilities, and warned that any future strike would be met with a far stronger response. Most strikingly, the source declared that Iran would no longer show restraint in the event of another conflict. That statement is already fueling concerns that Tehran could be preparing a far more aggressive military doctrine after months of confrontation with the United States and Israel. The warning comes as the region remains on edge. The United States has continued moving military assets across the Middle East. Military analysts say Iran has heavily invested in asymmetric warfare capabilities over the past decade, including long-range missiles, hypersonic systems, drone swarms, underground launch facilities, and electronic warfare platforms designed to challenge superior Western air power. Is the threat strategic messaging or a sign of preparations already underway? One thing is becoming increasingly